my first venture into growing mushrooms. So let me explain what we've got here. Never done this before, ever. So in here I have a bin bag full of straw. There is a bit of hay, but it's mainly straw, the golden stuff. As I understand it, this is one of the better substrates to use for this. At the moment, that's in my boiler, which I'm just slowly adding water to, as the water that's in it reaches, well, that's where it wants to be, around 80 degrees C. So I'm just going to put some more water in so I can just make sure that all of this gets a thoroughly good dunking in the hot water, because this is to sterilise, or pasteurise I think would be the correct term, all of this. So just going to just keep, you see the water level just there, so slowly but surely we're getting there. Yeah, temperature's dropped a little bit, it's steaming away nicely, so I think a little bit more water, and we'll just let that just pasteurise away for an hour or two. I'll put some foil over the top, and we'll just let that sit for an hour or two, and in the meantime I'm going to crack on with the bucket. So give me a few moments and I'll deal with this, and we'll come back to the bucket back shortly. Okay, so I've just put the rest of the hay in, I've pushed it down, and you can see the water level's just below. So now I'm going to put a tin foil lid on. One moment, can't do this with one hand. Right, apologies. Okay, so there we go. It's cooled down quite considerably, so I'm going to let that build back up to about 80 degrees C, and then I'll just maintain it there for an hour, and that should absolutely sterilise that hay, which will give the mycelium the best chance of colonising the substrate. Right, bin. I shall be back in a moment. We'll study that. I have, quick addendum, I have just read that it is best to have the straw as submerged as you can, because whereas I thought it was mainly about sterilising it, it's not. It's about dampening it and making it clean and damp for the mycelium. So I've no problems about the bit at the top here, because the steam will certainly deal with that, but just to make sure the rest of it is all nicely compacted down, I've just chucked that in there, and you see the water, you probably can't tell from there, has gone quite brown almost immediately. So certainly, yeah, I think giving it a good steaming and a good sterilising is not a bad idea. Right, I will genuinely be back to deal with the bucket. I'm just doing a dozen other things at the moment. Right, this is my bin. It's an old waste bin. Now it doesn't look particularly clean, but inside, and it is going to get jet washed, it's been sat for at least 48 hours in a bleach and water solution, so it's sterile. So I'm going to give it a final clean down, and I'm drilling, and I think I'm just going to do up to here, so some of them will just have to make a bit bigger. I'm using a conical drill, but I'm just drilling some holes sort of all the way around, regularly spaced. I might just put some more at the top as well. Yeah, I think I will. So yeah, so 1 2 3, 1 2 3. So yeah, let's make these a bit bigger. As long as I can see daylight through them, if I can get a pencil through them, I'm happy. So I'm just going to do that, because I've only got one hand, no tripod at the moment, it's broke, so I'll be back in a moment. Right, okay, so I've just cleaned them up on the inside as well. Just got rid of the, well, I suppose I'd call it swarf. You know, the turnings from the inside, the waste material. swarf, that's what my dad used to call it. So there we go. So I've just drilled some. They're not particularly neat and they're not particularly in any sort of strategic order, but there's some at the bottom and there's some halfway up. So we'll just go back to this. So that's, well, 75 degrees is certainly enough to kill any bacteria, but I'm just going to let the steam sort of permeate up so it can sit like that for as long as is necessary. Really, I'm going to 3 o'clock. I want to give it at least an hour or two. So for the moment, I'm going to clean this bucket inside properly with a scrubbing brush now, and do the outside as well with bleach and water solution. And I've got the lid, which has also been sterilised, and I'm just trying to work out the best place I can do this, whether I do it in my shed or whether I do it in my house. I don't know whether I want to do it outside. I'll have to do some research. First time I've ever done this, so bear with me and we'll see what happens. Okay, temperature's now at about 80 to 83 degrees C, and I've turned the heat controller down. So I just want to leave that now. I don't want it to boil. I just want it to sit there at a temperature that's high enough it's going to sterilise it, and not so vigorous a boil it's all going to spill over. I don't want that to happen, and I know from experience that that's about that. Right, here's the bucket, cleaned, rinsed. As you can see, it's looking much cleaner. Before the straw goes in, I shall give it one last final wipe down with a bit of bleach and water, and then rinse it with clean water. Give everything absolutely the best possible chance it can have. Right, let's go and have a look at the spores, because I haven't looked at these myself. I'm not advertising or anything like that. These are where they've come from. These are the instructions. I'll keep this going for 5 seconds. If you want to pause it, you can do. Right, there we go. So obviously you're able to register for grant access to downloadable learning material, growing instructions and more, which I think is a bit off. Why should I have to give up my private information just to get instructions for products you sell? Yeah, fake email address for that. Right, okay, what's this? Right, that's where it's come from. Okay, so what have we got? Okay, it looks store at 10 degrees C, no lower. Great. So they're going to be, well, certainly looks like, if I store it at 10 degrees C, okay. I've read that the pink needs much more free airflow than the blue-grey. So we'll just see, that doesn't, I don't know, there's some there, but certainly not like there is there. We'll see. So it certainly looks like it's going to be going on the inside at least to start with. So I'll just set a small fan up when it's time. Okay, so I'm just going to let the wheat, straw, hay, grass, whatever it was, sterilise. I shall be back, well, when I'm back. Right, I found the sweet spot on the power controller and the thermometer. So it's just actually the sensor is actually just sat in the steam, just there. So if the steam is reading 75 degrees C and the recommended temperature is about 71 degrees C, I've discovered, then the water's going to be at least that, I would have thought. So we're okay there. So that's been going now for about half an hour. So I'm going to give it an hour at that temperature, and that should all be then well sterilised, and I'll drain it off, and then we'll let it cool. We may have to let it cool overnight. I don't know yet. We'll just have to see. So I suspect I will. So I'll come back when I'm ready to drain it, and we'll see what's happened. Wow. Yeah, don't ask. I've no idea. Well, we'll just let it drain off. See what happens. Well, I shall just let that drain away for, well, I suppose as long as it takes until it cools down a bit. I suspect it'll be a while. Okay, several hours later, it's been draining, and it's now, there is water, but it's not soaking. It is a little bit warm in places, so I've just been agitating it in here just to get some cool air to it, because I don't want to put my mycelium into screaming hot substrate. That's probably not doing it any favours at all. So I'm just letting it, it's going to need a little bit longer to cool down, to be fair. So I've just taken some out just to test it. But yes, as you can see, it's very clean. It's come out nice. Smells like hay, straw, wheat, whichever one it is. It's just right at the bottom where the boiler is. Yeah, that's still quite hot. So I'm just going to let that. It cools down very, very quickly in the air, to be fair. But you might see there's a bit of steam just coming off that a little bit. So, well, actually I suppose I could just run some cold water through it, but I'd have to drain it again. So as I say, I'll just, it's 10 to 7. I'm just going to keep coming out, just giving it a stir, and we'll just leave it to it. I'm going to put it in the house tonight, I think. This one of the, I think it's the blue-grey. No, it's the pink. That can't get too cold, and you can actually see the different levels of, that's the blue-grey, that's the pink. Anyhow, they're all going in. They're going in together, so hopefully we'll get several flushes of pink and blue-grey oyster mushrooms. Right, so this is the blue-grey. I have no idea how much to use, so I'm not going to go crazy because I'm going to build it up in layers. So that's a bit of blue-grey there. I'll just put some cool, or cooler I should say, straw on, and then I'll get the, is this the pink? Yeah, this is the pink. This is the one that's got to be kept at a minimum 10 degrees C, which is why for the moment it's actually going in the house. So some mycelium, bit more straw, and I'm just going to keep repeating that pattern basically. So I'll do that and we'll come back and see what's what. Oh, one of the things I have heard or read several times, you've got to compress the straw down, so I'll be doing that shortly as well, in between each layer. Right, this is actually day 2. I've had it indoors because it's been very, very cold overnight here, and the temperature in here is typically around 14-15 degrees C. It doesn't appear at the moment to be anything happening, but as I say, it is only day 2, so you know, I'm just going to put the lid back on. I'm just going to keep checking it every couple of days, just maintain the temperature. I've put the lid on to keep it dark, should keep it humid. When it's, you know, if it needs a spray of water, I'll happily give it one. Hi folks, do excuse me, I've had a drink, it's gone down the wrong hole. Right, mushrooms. It's been a week and a day. They've just been here. This is my living room. It's a bit of a mess at the minute because I'm renovating, but by the by. So they've just been sat here. It isn't too hot, it isn't too cold. What can we see? Oh, look at that. Oh, wow. There's mycelium. Excellent. Oh, yes, I can see little bits of it flourishing everywhere. Great. Okay. Is it dry? No, it's still very moist. Right, brilliant. Oh, that's good news. So I'm just going to leave that for the moment going.